Robyn, I think, was the last to give up on the dream, but
And the Brown family themselves absolutely stunned. Kody and Robyn Brown have spent years portraying themselves as victims, accusing them of being misunderstood, targeted, and unfairly represented. But now, in the harsh light of a courtroom, all of those carefully constructed alibis have fallen apart. We are talking about a legal ruling that could go down as the most explosive revelation in Sister Wives history. A judge has officially ordered Kody and Robyn to pay $300,000 after a series of secret text messages were not only exposed, but actually read aloud in court. These weren't innocent logistical texts about family schedules or bills. These were communications that disclosed manipulation, lying, and a definite intention to take away other wives' financial stability. The room fell silent when one message from Kody was read aloud. "Nobody cares about her. Just move the money." Those 5 words hung in the air like a grenade. Everyone in the courtroom understood what it meant. Kody was referring to one of his wives, probably Janelle or Mary, as unimportant, while secretly scheming to divert her money for his and Robyn's benefit. The gasps from the room told it all. This wasn't speculation. This wasn't editing. This was evidence. Evidence that everything the fans had suspected all those years about Kody and Robyn's financial transactions was correct. And now, instead of hiding behind the editing room of TLC, they were being revealed in a courtroom. This decision isn't about money. It's about trust broken, power wielded, and manipulation exposed. And for the first time, the Brown family's seamiest secrets were aired under oath. As the hearing started, no one anticipated fireworks. The case was touted as a typical financial dispute related to real estate sales and unpaid taxes, but when the attorneys started presenting their evidence, the tension in the courtroom changed. You could feel it in the air. Christine and Janelle's fans leaned forward in their seats. Robyn sat rigidly next to Kody, her typical tearful performance replaced by an expression of sheer fear. The judge's patience was quickly tested. Kody's attorney attempted to make the argument that the finances of the family were complex, and that it was easy for misunderstandings to occur. But the judge was not having it. "Complexity does not equal dishonesty," she snapped, quieting the room. Then came the texts. Dozens of them, projected on a large screen for everyone to see. Messages between Kody and Robyn that confirmed years of suspicion. One read, "If she sells the house, we'll redirect it to our build. She won't question it." Another, from Robyn to Kody, was even more chilling. "Play it like it's for the family, she'll fold. She always does." You could spot Mary sitting near the rear, lower her head into her hands. Janelle gritted her jaw, shaking with rage. Christine, though no longer bound legally to Kody, observed with a mix of vindication and sadness. These weren't empty words. These were receipts, proof of manipulation that many suspected but few could document. The judge stopped after one of the particularly violent texts. She glared over her glasses at Kody. "Did you write this?" she snapped. Kody stuttered, his face reddening. He attempted to weasel it out as taken out of context, but the damage was already done. The court had read the truth. The audience had heard the contempt dripping from every word. Robyn attempted to cry, wiping her eyes with a tissue, but it was apparent the tears would no longer work. Not in this environment, not with the cold, hard proof laid out in front of them in black and white. The illusion she and Kody had created for so long was folding in on them, and no fabricated TLC confessional could mend it. The gavel of the judge came down on the verdict without hesitation. Kody and Robyn would be paying $300,000 in restitution for financial damage and manipulation. The courtroom burst out, some shocked, some in virtual applause. It was the first time Kody had ever really been held accountable. The breaking point of the whole case wasn't the appraisal reports or property deeds. It was the texts. Messages that took away every excuse, every performance, every carefully constructed narrative Kody and Robyn had used to maintain control. One message, sent just before Mary signed the preliminary agreement, was read aloud up and, "Don't worry, she's desperate to fit in. We just need to present it as being for the children. She won't fight it. Keep mentioning family and she'll break." The courtroom gasped. It wasn't manipulation. It was deliberate exploitation of Mary's deepest scars. For years, she had held on to the hope of being truly accepted once more. And here it was, spelled out in callous words, Robyn using that desperation against her. There was another message that hit even tougher. This one by Kody to Robyn after Mary had signed the house over. Done. She signed. That's $300K off our backs. Easy. We can use this for the down payment on the Flagstaff house without touching our savings. The room fell quiet. You could sense the gravity of the betrayal. Mary sat impassive, but tears of quiet rage shone in her eyes. She didn't have to speak. The proof spoke for itself. Christine leaned forward, clearly seething. Janelle shook her head in shock, mouthing the word, unbelievable. Even Mary, the scheme victim, appeared shocked to hear the sheer callousness in Kody's private remarks. This was not a misunderstanding of finances. This was about cold, intentional greed. The judge's voice became more pointed as each text was read. "This is not family sacrifice," she declared, looking down at Kody and Robyn. "This is deception. This is fraud." But the most incendiary text of all came toward the end. Robyn had sent to Kody, after verifying that the appraisal had been artificially reduced. "She'll never know. It's perfect. We play our parts and she'll think it was for everyone." The words, "she'll never know," resonated in the courtroom. It was condemning. It was not manipulation alone. It was conspiracy. It was evidence that Kody and Robyn had conspired to lie to Mary for personal interests. Gasps were in the air again. This time, even Robyn's crocodile tears weren't able to conceal her panic. Her hands trembled, her face ashen. Kody attempted to look straight ahead, but his jaw was clenched, his fists under the table. The judge gazed straight at them and told them, "You didn't just take advantage of finances. You took advantage of trust. You took advantage of loyalty. That is why this court has no other option but to order restitution." It was the most humiliating moment for both Kody and Robyn, and messages exchanged in private back and forth that were intended to remain secret became the same weapons that destroyed their well-crafted cover. The courtroom was still abuzz after the texts were read aloud. The gasps, the whispers, the stunned silence, it all weighed years of suspicion now validated in black and white. But the Brown family members' reactions were what really set the tone. Christine was the first to crack. She leaned forward to Janelle, her face a whirlwind of rage and vindication. "I knew it," she whispered, loudly enough for those around her to hear. "I told everyone this would happen, and now it's all out there." Janelle nodded resolutely, her jaw clenched in hard agreement. For years she had been the numbers person, the practical one who attempted to balance budgets while Kody made loose financial choices. This wasn't betrayal in her mind. This was proof that the man she had once counted on to share her future had manipulated every cent. Mary, however, was the most reserved of them all. Sitting rigidly in her chair, she stared into the floor. Those texts weren't proof of fraud alone. They were a mirror held up to 30 years of emotional abandonment. She had struggled so long to have a seat at the table, and here was evidence she was always just a pawn to be manipulated. Her silence spoke louder than Christine's anger or Janelle's chilly inclines. It was the silence of a woman who now recognized her life for what it had turned into. Even Gwendolyn, Leon, and some of the adult children who were in attendance were visibly shaken. Some shook their heads in dismay, and others grumbled under their breath about how Dad always favored Robyn. The wounds of generations of favoritism and financial deceit were exposed for everyone in the courtroom to see. But it wasn't limited to within the courthouse. Outside, cameras were in attendance, and reporters ambushed as soon as the recess was called. Supporters who had trailed the family for decades packed the sidewalks, crying slogans such as "Justice for Mary" and "Pay it back, Robyn." Social media went wild within minutes. Reddit forums reached thousands of comments within an hour. Text screenshots went viral on Twitter and TikTok, with comments such as "Proof at last" and "Robyn and Kody caught red-handed." For TLC, it was a dream and a nightmare combined. A nightmare because their ratings star couple was being publicly embarrassed in court, but a dream because season 20 now had enough drama to power 100 promos. The hashtag Donner House of Lies trended on Twitter as fans described the whole scandal as the biggest sister wives bombshell ever. And as Christine and Janelle strolled out of the courtroom with their heads held high, Robyn and Kody exited via a side door, barriers of lawyers holding off cameras from taking their embarrassed faces. But even behind that veil, according to witnesses, you could see Robyn's smeared mascara and Kody's balled fists. For once, they were not calling the shots. The truth was out, and everyone was aware of it. The tempest raging outside the courthouse was just the start. In a matter of hours, the sister wives scandal riveted headlines in all entertainment news platforms. TMZ, People, Entertainment Tonight, and hundreds of tabloids splashed the news across their covers. The banner was merciless and relentless. Kody and Robyn Brown exposed, $300,000 fraud and secret text messages. Twitter became a battleground. Some users posted the notorious line from the texts, "Mary will never know. It saves us a fortune," in massive bold fonts over screenshots of Robyn's tearful on-camera interviews. Others labeled it the ultimate betrayal of family values, ridiculing the Browns for years of sermonizing over togetherness while secretly conspiring financial trickery. The hashtag #JusticeForMary trended in several states. On TikTok, artists spliced together clips from the courtroom with clips from previous Sister Wives episodes. They compared Robyn's notorious breakdown scenes to the harsh words of her texts, showing her hypocrisy. Footage of Christine issuing warnings about Kody's favoritism was shared again, now regarded as prophetic. React videos piled up on YouTube from fans, gasping, cursing, and laughing bitterly as the scandal played out in real time. Even old-timers who had been supporting Kody and Robyn were left with their doubts. Comment sections on TLC's official sites were overwhelmed with indignation. "How are you still filming these two?" One fan posted, "Cancel their contracts. Give Christine and Janelle their own show. We're done watching lies." Financial experts got into the mix as well. Analysts appeared on television shows to describe how an appraisal scam operated, detailing the ethics violations and commenting that had the Browns done this to someone other than relatives, they might be facing federal charges of fraud. Lawyers picked apart the courtroom bombshells, highlighting the fact that the texts were basically a written confession. At the same time, Reddit posts blew up with conspiracy theories. Followers discussed if TLC was aware of the plot, if producers had manipulated storylines to conceal money mismanagement, and how much involvement the other wives had in allowing Kody to have his way. Christine and Janelle were presented as the ones speaking truth to power, while Mary was regarded with sympathy and irritation for allowing the betrayal to go on so long. But perhaps the most shocking development came from within the fandom itself. A Change.org petition emerged, demanding TLC give Christine and Janelle their own spin-off while firing Kody and Robyn from the network entirely. Within 24 hours, it gained over 100,000 signatures. The message was clear. The public no longer wanted to watch Robyn's tears or Kody's excuses. They wanted accountability. They wanted new heroes. For Robyn and Kody, the repercussions were devastating. Their reputation as the last couple standing of a broken family was overnight shattered. They weren't the solid couple riding out the storm. They were the storm, and everyone knew it now. Kody and Robyn understood the scandal had gotten out of control. The news headlines weren't fading. The petition continued to rise, and TLC executives had issued an alleged emergency meeting to assess the future of Sister Wives. For Kody, who took pride in being the hub of the family, this was nothing less than humiliation. His ego was hurt, but more significantly, his pocket was at stake. If TLC cut the plug, the revenue stream that funded his extravagant lifestyle with Robyn would dry up instantly. So, they set off on what insiders would later call a full-scale damage control effort. The first was the orchestrated apology video. Kody and Robyn sat together in their Flagstaff living room, dressed in subdued attire, their faces serious. Robyn wiped at her eyes with a tissue, shaking as she defended the texts were taken out of context. Kody, sitting forward with hands folded, said the $300,000 payout wasn't an admission of fault, but was, for the purpose of avoiding further stress for the family. He explained the texts were jokes between husband and wife, never meant to be taken literally, but the public wasn't having it. The video got millions of views in a matter of hours, but the comment areas were merciless. "This is not an apology, this is spin," one watcher posted. Another chimed in, "Robyn's tears are faker than ever. Where's the accountability?" The dislike count on YouTube was astronomical, and hashtags such as KodyCon and Robyn the Scammer started trending. Then Kody tried to rebrand with a passionate podcast appearance. He railed against cancel culture, claiming that jealous ex-wives and manipulative producers had twisted events to ruin his reputation. He insisted that he and Robyn were victims of a smear campaign, their only crime being the last ones willing to fight for the family dream. His voice rose to a shout as he declared, "Nobody understands the sacrifices I've made for this family. Nobody cares about the truth anymore." But once more, the tactic did not work. Footage of his rageful outburst went viral, matched with deprecating background music and derisive captions. His fans likened his tirade to the texts that caused the controversy in the first place, observing the tone being mimicked: cold, condescending, self-sympathetic. In the meantime, Robyn attempted to lean on her go-to weapon, sympathy. She gave an interview to a women's magazine, portraying herself as the wronged matriarch who merely yearned for a safe, stable home for her children. She cried fiercely that she had never manipulated anyone, and that her language in the texts had been misinterpreted by people who want to tear us apart. But the tears didn't work anymore. The public had read the texts, read the scheme of appraisal, and read the fine imposed by the court. Robyn's crying, which was formerly her armor, was now being perceived as her most transparent move. Even longtime supporters described her acting as tired and insulting. As the weeks went by, the Browns' public reputation continued to deteriorate. TLC apparently halted production, putting Sister Wives' future in doubt. Sponsors walked away from endorsement deals. And most revealingly, sources said Christine and Janelle were being recruited for their own spin-off, something that would focus on their independence, economic success, and strength after splitting with Kody and Robyn. The former show power couple were now trapped. All their attempts to reframe the script only pushed them deeper into the pit of public shame. They had overestimated their fans. Viewers weren't passive observers anymore. They were researchers, critics, and protesters demanding answers. And just when Kody was sure things couldn't get any worse, a bombshell fell. Yet another one that would continue to destabilize his shaky kingdom and strain his marriage to Robyn to the limits. Just as Kody and Robyn rushed to plug the holes in their sinking kingdom, a yet more sinister scandal started to emerge. This time it wasn't about finances. This time it wasn't about property. It was about fidelity and treachery. As per the insiders who are close to the production team, even when the court case regarding Mary's home was still ongoing, someone released a personal cache of voice recordings and emails related to Kody's transactions. The whistleblower? None other than an old TLC staffer who said they were tired of observing Kody play the family, play his wives, and play the audience over a decade. Those recordings included discussions between Kody and a financial advisor, where he confessed he had no interest in ever residing on Coyote Pass. Indeed, in one incriminating call, he guffawed as he declared, "Coyote Pass is a prop. It's not a home. It's a storyline to keep the show alive. As long as the fans believe in the dream, TLC keeps paying." The news came as a shock. For years, the fans had suspected that the Coyote Pass fantasy was merely smoke and mirrors. But now, they had the proof in Kody's own words. This wasn't merely a family man wrestling with logistics. It was a manipulator consciously telling lies for cash. But the leak didn't end there. Among the documents was a chain of emails between Robyn and Kody, who discussed how to deal with their financial troubles. In one of them, Robyn wrote, "We need to keep Mary on the hook until the house money clears. After that, she's disposable. She's too desperate to walk away." Those 3 words, "she's disposable," went viral on social media. For those who had seen Mary fight for inclusion, be neglected, and give up everything to a family that kept pushing her away, the email was like a dagger to the heart. The betrayal wasn't purely financial. It was emotional, deliberate, and terrifyingly cold. And then there was the most surprising piece of all, a taped voicemail message from Kody to Robyn, supposedly left late one evening. Slurred and huffy, his voice instructed, "Nobody cares about you, Robyn. Nobody cares about me. They only care about the show. You think I'm gonna drag myself through this circus forever? The second TLC drops us, I'm gone." That voicemail rattled fans to their very foundations. It exposed a Kody who no longer supported the family, the show, or even his own wedding to Robyn. The very bedrock of their relationship, their so-called bond, their front together, was disintegrating under the strain of his resentment and burnout. Robyn, apparently blindsided by the breach, was said to be crushed. For years, she had been the obedient, supportive wife, springing to Kody's defense at every opportunity. But now, the world was listening to him invalidate her as casually as he had invalidated his other wives. "Nobody cares about you." It was the line that reverberated across message boards, headlines, and reaction videos. The repercussions were swift. People started speculating in public about divorce. The leaks had already broken the illusion of stability, but what followed was the time when Robyn could no longer escape the truth. Her marriage was deteriorating. And it wasn't just public opinion, it was fact. For years, Robyn had held herself up as Queen Bee of the Brown clan, last wife standing, soulmate that Kody had picked out from above the others. But after listening to his harsh words, "Nobody cares about you," played over and over in unending TikToks, YouTube videos, and news stories, she could no longer maintain that position. Within their $2.1 million Flagstaff home, pressures came to a boil. Robyn, who was once deferential and made a point not to ruffle Kody's feathers, finally snapped. Insiders say she cornered him in the kitchen late one evening and demanded to know, "Do you even love me anymore?" She allegedly bellowed, sobbing. "Or was I just your last excuse to remain on television?" Kody, red-faced and defensive, snapped back, "Don't twist my words. You think I don't love you? After everything I've done? After losing my family for you?" But his words were empty. Because despite all of Kody's bravado, Robyn sensed the change. He didn't glance at her the same. He didn't stand up for her like he used to. And now, courtesy of his own voicemail, she knew in her heart what he really believed. "Christine quit because you couldn't respect her," Robyn demanded. "Janelle quit because you wouldn't support her. Mary was just a pawn to you. And now me? After all I gave up, after all I sacrificed, you think no one cares about me?" Her voice, normally timid and guarded, was thunderous. For the first time in their marriage, Robyn wasn't begging. She was accusing, and here's the bombshell. Kody didn't deny it. Instead, he collapsed into a chair, massaging his thinning hair, cursing, "I don't know what I feel anymore. Maybe I don't care. Maybe I never did. That was the crack Robyn had dreaded for so long. The acknowledgement that she was never different, never special, never the soulmate she sold herself he made her out to be. She was just the last one left when the others had departed, but Robyn was not going to let him have the last word. One source reported she banged her fist on the counter and exclaimed, "If you don't care, then perhaps I'm finished too. I did not sign on to be left in front of millions of spectators. If this marriage is a circus to you, perhaps now would be a good time for me to leave before the entire tent goes up in flames." Those words were more than an empty threat. Offstage, Robyn had started subtly networking with family members she previously disdained. Her estranged sister, her mother, even Christine, whom she had worked for years to overshadow. She needed suggestions, she needed insight, but most importantly, she needed choices. Because for the first time since joining the family, Robyn was contemplating divorce. And this is where the twist comes in. Christine, who used to see Robyn as her biggest competitor, allegedly said to her, "If you're waiting for Kody to change, you'll be waiting forever. He'll drain you until there's nothing left." These words tormented Robyn. They were a reflection of what she used to tell herself about Christine, about Janelle, about Mary. Now she was living it. Meanwhile, the court documents were mounting. The $300,000 judgment was looming. TLC was pressuring the Browns to address the scandal on camera, and fans were buzzing. Would Robyn finally follow in Christine's footsteps and leave Kody behind? For years, Robyn had struggled to maintain her family, to maintain Kody's love, to keep the life they'd created together. But now, with the entire world watching, she was left with one question that she just couldn't seem to shake. Was Kody Brown worth losing herself for? The rumors of infidelity, the released texts, and the $300,000 verdict all led up to one thing: the Browns' day in court. Cameras were prohibited inside, but several sources provided a portrait that left viewers in awe. What was revealed wasn't only a legal hearing, it was a public unveiling of all the secrets Kody and Robyn had attempted to conceal. Mary, accompanied by Christine, entered the courthouse with subdued resolve. The acquiescent wife who begged for Kody's approval was nowhere in sight. Instead, there stood a woman with evidence, self-assurance, and the assurance that she had the law backing her up. Christine, beaming with support, whispered as they entered, "They can't lie their way out of this anymore." On the other side of the aisle were Kody and Robyn. His face was twisted in a scowl, his blonde curls disheveled, while she held tissues tightly in preparation of another acting out of victimhood. But the judge remained unmoved by tears. This was not a family session. This was the law. The prosecution began with the hacked text messages, very words Kody and Robyn had secretly sent each other. On the big courtroom screen, the texts appeared in huge bold letters to everyone's eyes. "Is Mary signing tomorrow? Can't wait for this to be over so we can finally afford the new build. She'll never know. Dan gave us the perfect number. It saves us a fortune." Gasps spread throughout the courtroom. Even journalists who had reported on the Browns for years were shocked at the candor of the dishonesty. Kody shifted restlessly in his chair, and Robyn hid her face in her hands. Mary sat quietly, her eyes on the screen, a look of unreadability on her face. But within, she knew that this was vindication. For all those decades, she had been silenced, manipulated, and discarded. Now their own words were betraying them. Dan Miller, the appraiser, was then called to the stand. Sweating and fumbling, he acknowledged under oath that he had been coerced into producing a family number. When questioned, he agreed that Robyn had taken him through the house, drawing attention to inflated flaws and minimizing its actual worth. "Yes," he stuttered. "I was instructed to keep it conservative, to make it easier for the family to handle the transfer." The judge's expression hardened. "Conservative," she echoed. "Or fraudulent?" Dan's eyes dropped. Fraudulent. That single word rang through the chamber like the strike of a gavel. Fraudulent. It was the validation Mary had been hoping for, the evidence the court needed, and the deconstruction of Kody and Robyn's expertly spun deceptions. Kody, flailing in a last-ditch effort to rescue the story, jumped up from his chair. "This is a family issue. We were attempting to protect our property, to keep things within the family. This is not fraud, it's family business." But the judge wasn't going to let him get away with it. She banged her gavel down, cutting him off. "Mr. Brown, this court does not run in your family's way. It runs according to the law. And according to the law, this was fraud. This was stealing." Robyn, crying, attempted to divert blame. "I just wanted stability for my children. I didn't know the appraisal was fraudulent. I trusted Kody. I trusted the system." But Mary's lawyer stood, waving the photo of the text message. "Then why?" he demanded, voice edged. "Did you text? Mary will never know." "It saves us a fortune?" The ensuing silence was deafening. Robyn stood there, her mouth open, unable to spin her way out of her own words. The courtroom had its answer. By the end of the day, there was no doubt in anyone's mind. Kody and Robyn were instructed to pay Mary $300,000 in damages, along with further court expenses. The decision was a win for Mary, but more importantly, it was public humiliation for Robyn and Kody. Their reputations, which had already taken a beating, were now officially tainted by law. As they exited the courthouse, reporters mobbed them. Mary smiled once. "The truth always comes out," she murmured, a line that would top dozens of front pages in hours. Kody stormed through the cameras, yelling of betrayal, family disloyalty, conspiracy. But his voice was hollow. The world had witnessed the proof. The world knew the truth. Robyn, purse clutched tightly in her hand, strode down the street with her head hung low. For years, she had been the woman who won, the wife who had it all. But now, she was the face of shame, outed as manipulative and greedy. And yet, the actual fallout wasn't economic. It was personal. For the first time, Kody and Robyn weren't merely battling with the world. They were battling with one another. The fissures in their marriage weren't hidden anymore. They were public, raw, and undeniable. Because in private, after judgment was rendered, witnesses recall Kody turning to Robyn and spitting, "This is your fault. You pushed too far. "You ruined us." And Robyn, crying, shot back, "Nobody cares about me, right? Maybe now I don't care about you either." The courtroom had resolved one conflict, but in the domestic quarters, the war was only just starting. The courtroom win was just the start. What unfolded next was the real unraveling of Kody and Robyn's handcrafted empire. When the $300,000 ruling made headlines, Sister Wives fans took to social media. Their Justice for Mary and Nainter's Robyn Exposed trended for days. Overnight, the story Kody had cultivated for years, being the misunderstood patriarch, Robyn the innocent victim, began to fall apart under the point of documented evidence. Within their $1 million Flagstaff compound, the tension was poisonously toxic. Insiders familiar with the Browns reported nights of shouting arguments, Robyn crying hysterically, and Kody storming around like a caged tiger, ranting about betrayal. Their united front was now beginning to crack publicly for the first time. The neighbors described seeing Kody tearing out of the house at any hour of the day or night, slamming doors and driving erratically. Robyn could be seen with her children in tow, holding her head down, her tightly coiffed look now exchanged for sleep deprivation.